What's up guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel and happy Artsy Fartsy Friday. Today I am going to be sharing with you guys my bullet journal for the upcoming school semester, and I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and advice on how I utilize my bullet journal for school and how I would recommend keeping your bullet journal a little bit more school oriented and to use it to help manage your time and your stress during the upcoming school semester. So first of all, for those of you starting school up again this fall, congratulations. I wish you the best. If you are heading off to college for the first time, good luck. It's gonna be fun. I am rooting for you, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'll talk about, and just in case this is your first bullet journal video that you've seen from me, this is my bullet journal. This is a Create 365 Happy Planner in the original size. You can get these at Michael's, and what I love about the Happy Planner is that it is highly customizable and it is completely refillable. So this is the planner I've worked in for the entirety of 2018, but as soon as 2018 is done, I can just tear out these pages and start filling it in for 2019. So I really love this system. It's very flexible, and if you want to see more about how I set up this planner, I will link that video down below. I also just have a bullet journaling playlist just in case you want to go back and see how I created any of my other monthly spreads. So I'm going to kind of skip over this first part because it's a lot of my more permanent spreads, but one thing I will focus on is my previous school schedule. So this is what I created for last semester, and to be honest, I didn't really refer back to this very much. It wasn't really super helpful to me. So I do change up how I do my school schedule and sort of how I utilize it in my planner for this semester. And so I will go ahead and talk about that. But the first thing I want to talk about is supplies. And don't mind this, I'm just covering this up to hide some information that is not really pertinent to this video. So when I am working on my bullet journal for school, I like to simplify things as much as possible. I find that if I'm worrying too much about what my spreads look like and the color scheme and everything else, it just takes away from the purpose of the actual bullet journal, which is to help me manage my time and my stress. So I really like to keep things very simple, and I will just briefly go over the supplies that I use. First thing I would say is to get yourself some highlighters. I strongly recommend the Zebra mild liners just because they're a perfect size. They're double-ended, so you have a wider tip and a finer tip. They come in loads of fun colors. I got a set of like 3 of these packs on Amazon. There's 2 here because these are the 2 that I use in today's video. But I just think that these are really nice. They allow you to color code things and decorate things a little bit, but you can really keep things simple and straightforward with these. So any highlighters will work just as long as you feel like you have the appropriate color variety to color code all of your classes and various tasks. So yeah, I cannot recommend these enough. The other thing that is a total staple for me when I bullet journal is this Staedtler Tri Plus fine liner pen in black. I've had this for ages and I use it to build pretty much every bullet journal spread that I do, and I also use it just to fill in things in my bullet journal. However, I do also really enjoy the Pilot Frixon erasable pens. I have one here in black, and this one travels with my bullet journal everywhere it goes. I also recently picked up a red one and a green one in the clickable style. I have some in just the regular ballpoint pen style, but I like the clickable ones because they hold a little bit more ink and they just feel nicer to write with. But you can also get these in open stock at Daiso. That's where I picked these up, so if you have a Daiso near you, I would definitely check that out. But I love the erasable pens because they allow my bullet journal to stay looking clean and neat and organized, because plans change, but when you write it down in this pen, you can always erase it and move stuff around really, really easily. So I love these. I swear by them. I've talked about them before. You can check out the links below if you're interested in purchasing any of these. The last pen that I will talk about is the Tombow Fudenosuke Soft Tip Brush Pen. I love this. I use this to create most of my headers and a lot of the various writing in my bullet journal that is not pertaining to actual events is done in this, just because it's a little bit bolder, it's easier to read, and it just kind of draws the attention. So I know what month it is, what week it is, everything like that. And it's a really easy pen to use. I talked about this recently in a brush pen video. So if you are looking for a brush pen, I highly recommend this one. And again, information about where you can purchase this is down below. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about are the covers. I create monthly covers for every single month of my bullet journal, and when the school semester starts, I like to create the covers in batches because it allows me to think of my journal in a semester by semester basis rather than a month to month basis. And when you're looking at an entire semester of school, it's really helpful to consider all of the months in that semester and all of the different things that are going to be happening throughout the semester. So this is one thing that I really miss about traditional planning that you don't necessarily get with the bullet journaling system. So I've kind of fused the two together, and I've found a way to incorporate a more long-term plan into a bullet journal, which tends to be very week to week, month to month. So when I created my September cover, I also went ahead and created my October cover, my November cover, and my December cover, just to get me all the way through the fall semester. And again, I have tutorials on how I do these covers, and I've done that in bullet journaling videos in the past. So flipping over to this side, you can see on the back of each cover I have a calendar on the back, just a very traditional, simple calendar that allows me to see how many weeks are in the month. For me specifically in my YouTube channel, I like to see how many Fridays are in the month because that's how many videos I'm gonna have to post, just kind of where certain dates fall. So as I'm going through and building my weekly spreads, I will often kind of refer back to this page and go, oh, what else is happening around that time? Even though you can't really write on this because it is laminated, I do just like having this nice clean view of the entire month. Although you could fill this out before you laminated it if you want. I just don't really use it that way. So the first spread that I have in mind for students in particular is to create a semester at a glance page. This is a little bit different. I haven't really done this before, but I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. And basically I have a schedule up here, which is just kind of like my weekly schedule, and I've color-coded all of my classes. This semester I'm only on campus 2 days a week, and although it doesn't really look like I have a lot of classes this semester, each of these is 3 hours long, and on the days I'm not in class, I'm going to be at my internship. So these days are kind of tentative until things get situated and I have a little bit more of a consistent schedule at my internship site. But it's really important to have sort of a quick view of your schedule, and I've specifically blocked out break times between classes because that is when I'm going to be working on homework and catching up on reading, especially because I know I'm definitely not going to want to do it after class on these days, and I'm likely not going to want to do it on the days that I'm at my internship site. So you can see it's very straightforward and very simple. I have the days of the week up here, Monday through Friday, and then I have the times blocked out for when each of these classes are. So it's very simple and straightforward. It's nothing super fancy, but I do think that it's really helpful. And then down here, this spread will change once I sort of get all of the syllabi for my classes and I'm able to see the dates of tests and papers and projects and when everything is due. And my plan for this spread is to have sort of a small column here on the left side where I have the dates, and then a larger column here for the name of that assignment, and then I will highlight that assignment and date with the color corresponding to whatever class it's for. And I made it kind of extra wide just in case I wanted to double it up, which I will probably have to. I mean, this isn't really enough space for all the assignments I have in a semester, so it will likely be kind of split in half, and I'll have 2 sections like that with a small column and a big column, and then small column and then a big column. So, but this just allows me to sort of see all of the assignments that I have to do for this semester. This is going to depend a lot on the kind of student and the kind of planner that you are. So be honest, have a sit down moment with yourself and really analyze whether having something like this is going to give you more anxiety or less anxiety. To me, I really like being able to see everything that I have to do over a period of time and then slowly checking things off as I go. So it may be overwhelming at the start, but by the end of the semester, I'll be able to see how much I've accomplished so far and how little I have left to go. So it's also just a really convenient way for me to flip back to this page throughout the semester. And one thing that I really love is that as soon as September is done, I can just take this page out and move it to October or November and so forth. So I really love that, and I think that this page is going to be really helpful. If you aren't working in the Happy Planner system and you aren't able to move this page throughout your bullet journal, then what I would recommend doing is getting a little tab, something like this, and sticking that on the end here so you know what page that is and where to flip back to see your semester at a glance page. Now, equally as important for students with regards to like spreads targeted for school is a self-care list. Now, I am getting my master's degree in marriage and family therapy, so self-care was kind of at the top of my list when it came to bullet journaling ideas. It may not be at the top of everyone's list, but if you don't have something like this in your bullet journal, I highly recommend it. And basically how I created the spread was I divided it into 3 sections based on the kinds of feelings that I experience throughout the semester that would warrant the need for self-care. So up here I have stressed, which is probably the most common, sad, which isn't that common to be honest, but it can happen, and overwhelmed. And I have different self-care tasks under each of these because it does vary based on the kind of mood that you're in. So for example, if I'm just stressed because I have a busy week and I am, really pushing to get things done, little things that I can do is just do a mini workout in my apartment or take an extra long shower or do a face mask. So this is just quick, easy stuff that I can do that isn't really going to take away from the time I have devoted to my schoolwork, but are just as easy to implement, on the go or anywhere. So I really love this, and obviously there is room to grow here, so if I find other things that are helpful for me when I'm stressed, I can add them down below. When I'm sad, I like to watch my favorite movies. I love to watch Goodfellas or My Cousin Vinny or Star Trek. So these are just like little reminders of things that I can do to cheer myself up, blast some classic rock music, or read a cheesy fan fiction. Just stuff that makes me feel better. And then when I'm feeling overwhelmed, that is when these little things aren't really cutting it anymore, and I really just need to take a break and make some time for myself. So that is when I leave the house and go for a run, go walk on the beach, or meditate and just practice breathing. So yeah, if you don't have a self-care idea list in your bullet journal, I highly recommend it, whether you are a student or not, but especially if you are a student, because we tend to neglect ourselves a lot and avoid doing these things. So yeah, and just having a list to go back to makes it that much easier to actually implement it. And if you're curious about these stickers that I have throughout my bullet journal, these are from sticker books by the same company who creates the Happy Planner, Create 365. I have a couple linked down in my Amazon list of my favorite bullet journaling supplies. So I get these at Michael's. You can use a 40% off coupon. They're super great, and they come with tons of stickers, so I highly recommend them. But yeah, that's where these are from. So I just have like some quotes that aren't necessarily like motivational quotes as much as they are like relaxing quotes. They're not like, take the day, you're the best, keep going. They're kind of like, you got this, don't worry, it'll be okay. So I feel like those are messages I would much rather hear when I am stressed rather than like, keep going, and I'm like, I'm trying. So yeah, that's how I've decorated this page. It's very calm and serene. And then we get into the official first page of my September spread, and I'm thinking that this is how I want to model my bullet journal from here on out. And in fact, I may go ahead and create the rest of my pages for this year in bulk just to simplify things, and that way I don't have to worry about making time at the end of the month to do this. But I've simplified it a little bit, and I'll kind of explain that. So I've kind of combined several of my pages into one here, and I mostly combined my social media tracker, my video schedule, and my income and bill tracker all into one. So my video schedule is a lot smaller than it's been in the past, and that is for a reason. That is because as soon as school starts, YouTube has to take a bit of a back seat. And for that reason, I have intentionally made the video schedule smaller so that I can visualize that this is now not my priority. Although it is still on the front page, it is not this big spread that I am giving all my attention to. It's just a little reminder of what videos I'm posting on what day. And this is still the same that I've always done it, where I have a section for the date, a section for the title, and a checkbox for when I film, edit, and upload. So it's very simple, bare bones kind of layout. I also have a tracker down here for my Instagram and my Patreon, just so that I'm keeping up with posting regularly. I try and make it a point to post every other day or somewhere around there, so as long as I'm posting 15 times a month on each of those sites, then I'm generally pretty happy. If I do more, then great. If I get close but not quite, that's fine too. But it's just gonna help me keep up with my art business while in school. So that is why I still included that section, and I've actually been liking that a lot. Underneath, I've decided to add an income tracker to my monthly spreads. I do have one in my yearly spreads, but I just find that it's harder for me to go back and utilize that every single month, so I've decided to include this in my monthly tracker, where I can just include how much I earned on YouTube and Patreon and Twitch and StoryNV and Redbubble, and then put a total here. Because I don't earn that much from each of these, I just want to be able to add it up month by month and then just add up the monthly totals at the end of the year to see how much I've earned. So yeah, that is how I added my income tracker, and then I also have my same bills tracker where I track how much rent was, internet, utilities, and then the total of everything, and then my half that I owe. So yeah, and then I have kind of a little brain dump section down here. This is kind of a combination of my previous video ideas and goals section. So rather than just strictly calling this video ideas, I've now generalized it to be ideas. So this is basically a brain dump where I can put anything that I've been thinking about and brainstorming, you know, online store ideas, anything like that, I can put down here. So I really like just having this section to add to throughout the month. Now, getting into my weekly spreads, you're gonna see it looks very similar to the month of July. I didn't do a bullet journaling video for August, so I apologize about that, but I did stream it over on Twitch, so some of you still might have seen it. But this is very similar to the weekly spreads that I've done over the last 2 months. And you can see I just have 2 columns, 4 rows. That gives me 8 boxes, 7 of which are for the days of the week, and then 1 is just for like little notes, just in case I feel like, you know, something doesn't need to go here, but it can go here instead. I always like having a little extra space for stuff like that. Then I also have this side column here, and this may be trickier to implement for those of you that are working in a more traditional bullet journal size. The Happy Planner setup is a lot wider and a little bit taller, so it may be harder for you to implement something like this in that kind of journal, but I like having this side column here as a to-do list. That is what I've titled it, but it basically allows me to separate the weekly chores that I have, such as laundry, taking out the trash, and doing dishes, with my social media tasks, such as editing my weekly video, uploading stuff on Patreon into Instagram, and then later on down here when I get my homework assignments, like my weekly reading, that is when I can add here. So I really like being able to check things off on a list kind of on a weekly basis. I really enjoy that, and that way when I'm filling out stuff on each of the days, I'm filling out events here or things to remember, not necessarily things to do. So I feel like having them separate is going to be really helpful and just help me time manage a little bit better, because I know what I have to get done on a weekly basis, and then I know what I have to get done on a daily basis. So that kind of explains it a little bit better. And then you can see I will just kind of fill out that checklist on a week-to-week basis. So that is how the weekly spreads look. And then at the end of every month, I will have various tasks that will only need to be completed once a month, such as creating my Patreon newsletter and paying my bills. So I've just gone ahead and pre-added those in at the end of the month so that I remember to do them. So I liked having that done, and I'm really loving this spread. It was very easy to create. It's simple, it's straightforward. I like it a lot, and I think it's going to be really helpful. So I think for the rest of the months I am just going to go ahead and create batch weekly spreads so that I can just already start adding stuff into October and November, because as things get busy, I want to be able to look ahead into the future and plan things out. So yeah, that is pretty much how I have been using my bullet journal to plan for the next semester. I had this extra page here, so I just went ahead and added the first week of October. Hopefully it doesn't look too weird having like the first weekly spread before the cover, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If it was, please let me know, and if it wasn't, please let me know what I can add to make it more helpful for you guys. I've been doing these bullet journaling videos almost every single month this year, and I don't really know if you guys are interested in seeing bullet journaling content from me, if there's something I can be doing differently. And so this last part of the video, I really just want to talk to you guys and ask what you would like to see going forward with the bullet journaling videos. Would you prefer to see time lapses of me creating these spreads? Would you prefer to see time lapses of me creating covers? You know, just let me know. Just let me know what you want to see from me going forward with regard to bullet journaling videos. Do you still want to see them every month? Can you do without them every month? Would you rather see other content instead? You know, everything like that. So yeah, I would really appreciate your insight, and definitely leave me a comment down below telling me what you think. But that is it for me today. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care, have a great weekend, and I will see you on the internet. Bye.